I have to be honest with you, it took me a hot minute to actually press record on this video because I'm going to be revealing something about myself that I don't really tell too many people. But because of what I've learned over the years and what changing my mindset did by actually helping me to raise my salary by 85%, this is information that you need to know because I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who are telling yourself right now in your current job, well, I should just be grateful, or I got lucky to be where I am. If you believe either of those statements, this video is for you. I sat in one job for 25 years in one place at one company, part loyalty, part fear, part imposter syndrome. I actually just never thought I was good enough to apply to a larger market. Why? I honestly have no idea. I had a really large following of viewers. I had respect from lawmakers and business owners, but yet I just couldn't shake it. Then, of course, there was the mom guilt. If your mom's out there, you get it. I was raising my family in Providence, Rhode Island. Did I really want to move them and start all over? That just seemed so hard and uncomfortable. But then an opportunity to work in Washington, D.C. at the top news station in the market and top 5 in the country came out of nowhere. So here's my story, and I hope it helps you. So I want to say how I got this job, but I don't really mean it that way, and I'll explain why. But how I came here. So a former colleague of mine who I worked with in Providence, she actually applied for this job. It was a consumer reporter position, but the news director told her she wasn't quite right for the job. He was looking for truly someone who's been working as a consumer reporter. And she's like, you know what? I know who belongs in this job. So she gets to her car, she calls me and she said, here's the deal. I was applying for this job. It's not for me, it's for you. And you need to apply to it. That's when something clicked right then and there. I'm like, if someone believes in me, why aren't I believing in myself? So I took the chance and decided, why not me? What's the worst that can happen? They'd say no, big deal. Well, of course, they didn't. And I'm here. So when we were negotiating my salary, they threw out a number and I immediately accepted it because it was way more than I was making, and I was floored that someone actually thought I was worth that much. And in hindsight, I should have asked for more, but again, I just didn't know how. But now I do, and I want you to as well, because accepting that job raised my salary by 85%. And here's the thing, I didn't get this job because the stars aligned like I used to tell people. I got it because I worked freaking hard to get it. And I finally treated my career like a market, not a marriage. And today I'm going to show you the exact playbook backed by fresh data so you can move from underpaid to paid what you're worth. Here's my promise to you. You will learn why staying put usually caps your raises, what the numbers say about switching jobs, and concrete steps to land and negotiate the raise your current job probably won't give you. So when I was doing my research for this video, I found that most companies budget only about 3 to 4% for annual raises with similar budgets expected next year. And this is all according to the Conference Board's National Salary Budget Survey. Also, a global HR consulting firm, which is called Willis Towers Watson, also known as WTW. They surveyed thousands of employers. They do this each year, and they found that companies are budgeting about 3.5% for pay raises in 2026. It's a little lower than 2025. It's solid, but that's not going to be life-changing for you. And according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the job market has cooled, which means fewer people are voluntarily quitting. That quit rate sits at about 1.9%, so employers feel less pressure to bid up your pay. So bottom line, if you're waiting for your employer to make it right, the math is working against you. So what switching really pays? So when you change roles or employers, total comp bumps of 10 to 20% are commonly cited in career research roundups, not guaranteed, but very possible if you have in-demand skills. In a cooler market, you must be more targeted, but the ceiling on your pay is still much higher outside than inside most organizations. Let's talk about the mindset shift. I used to say, I got lucky. Now I say, I earned it. Luck did not build my reel, my receipts, or my reputation. My work did. If imposter syndrome is screaming at you, I want you to instead reframe it to this: evidence beats emotion. Build a paper trail of your value, then go to market with it. Next, here's your step-by-step playbook to a bigger paycheck. I want you to price yourself like an asset. Before you apply or negotiate, you want 3 target pay numbers so you know your range and avoid either lowballing yourself or overshooting unrealistically. Okay, so make sure you have a pen and paper ready to write this down. So I'm going to break all of this down for you. So we're going to start with the market median. This is your realistic anchor. This is the average salary for someone in your role with your experience in your market, like your city, your industry, and sometimes the company size. So you can find this by checking sites like Glassdoor, PayScale, Levels.fyi, Salary.com, or the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Also LinkedIn job listings that show pay ranges, and look at professional association surveys. For example, if you're in TV news, the National Association of Broadcasters, or SPJ, might have median salary surveys. Next, I want you to look at something called the top quartile target. This is something that I found during my research as well. This is your aspirational but achievable goal. What I mean by this, so top quartile simply means it's the top 25% of earners in your role. So people with above average performance, like seniority or specialized expertise. You want to know this number because it sets your negotiation ceiling, right? So what's reasonable to ask for if you can prove your value. For example, if the top 25% in your role make $115,000, that is your top quartile target. That's the number you use when negotiating externally or presenting a case for a significant internal raise. The next is your walkaway number. This is your bottom line. This is the lowest offer that you're going to accept. It's not about your ego. It's about clarity. It helps you avoid saying yes to something that doesn't make financial sense for you. That also includes like benefits, bonuses, and flexibility in that calculation too. Make sure you include that because that all matters. For example, maybe your walkaway is $90,000 because that's what you need to cover your current expenses and savings goals. Why these 3 numbers matter. When you know your range, your walkaway, your median, and your top quartile, you walk into interviews anchored in data, not emotion. Here's something very important. So your salary budget data that I talked about earlier is your inside raise baseline, that 3 to 4%. Your external target should beat that. That means if staying at your job gets you 3 to 4% bump, that's the national average, your external target should aim for 10 to 20% plus. You're comparing what staying gives you versus what the market could actually do. That's how you quantify whether it's time to make a move and get out. So let's now work on language in your resume. And I have a little bit of knowledge in this because I have a 21-year-old who is looking for and applying for internships, and 27-year-olds who are twins, who are always trying to update their resumes, and they have things out on LinkedIn and other platforms as well. So we were looking at this, and I was reviewing their resumes, and I'm thinking, you got it a little wrong. Let's kind of rework this, because what I noticed that they were doing is, and a lot of other people do this, they describe their jobs like this. I write stories. I manage a team. I oversee budgets. I do this. I do that. It's fine, but those are just activities, right? They don't tell anyone how much impact you've had. Instead, you want to actually translate your work into measurable results, numbers that show your employer or your future employer what you're worth and why you're worth more money. So think dollars. Did your work generate revenue, save money, or recover funds? I have it on my resume. I recovered $1.2 million for consumers. Actually, that number is over 2 million now, so I need to update it. Time. Did you make a process faster or more efficient? Cut turnaround time by 28%. Risk. Did you prevent legal exposure, compliance issues, or brand damage? Audience or reach. Did you expand your organization's influence, engagement, or visibility? I did. These are the metrics decision makers care about. They're proof that you move the needle, not just that you showed up and did the job. Anyone can do that. This is one that I have actually started, and I am so glad I did, because when you're working and there's so many things coming at you, if you're a parent, if you're a kid, or in your 20s, there's a lot happening, and you forget all the good stuff that you're doing. So write it down. I call it my brag doc. So this is your private running list of wins, numbers, projects, compliments, emails from bosses or viewers, anything tangible. Why this matters? It becomes your ammo for performance reviews and job interviews. It fights imposter syndrome because it is visual evidence of your value. So whenever you start doubting yourself, look at your little brag doc and say, oh yeah, I did that. That's cool. It keeps you from forgetting the big stuff 6 months later when you actually need real examples. Even small wins, you guys, these count, but write them all down before you actually forget. I stayed loyal for decades because I doubted myself. If that is you, please hear me. Loyalty is admirable, but it's not going to make you rich. So if you're underpaid, here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to benchmark your role, 3 sources, and set a target above that 3 to 4% inside raise. Write your 5 best receipts with real numbers, and then DM 10 connectors and ask for targeted intros. You don't have to be asking for a job. Just say, hey, can we meet? And apply to 5 jobs. Practice your counter offer as well. That means your base plus your bonus plus a sign-on before you need it, because you don't need permission to be paid fairly. You just need a plan. So comment underpaid if your last raise was 4%. Comment switch if you actually are going to start thinking about moving careers or moving out of the company that you're currently in. And remember, you're not lucky. You are qualified. So go get paid like it. I'll see you next time.